Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished guests, respected elders, dear friends, and fellow learners. It is an honor to stand before you today to reflect on a man who was not only a global icon of justice and peace, but a living symbol of resilience and human dignity, Nelson Mandela, and more specifically, to share what I learned from one of his most powerful and courageous moments, his "I am prepared to die" speech. This was not a speech made in celebration, nor in comfort. It was not spoken before a cheering crowd or at a victory rally. No, it was delivered from the dock of a courtroom where Nelson Mandela and his fellow accused were facing possible death under the oppressive apartheid regime of South Africa. It was a moment filled with fear and uncertainty, yet Mandela chose courage over fear, truth over silence, and hope over despair. Lesson 1. Stand for what is right, even when it's dangerous. Mandela's words resonate through time. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die. This sentence alone shook the world. It taught me that standing for justice is not always safe. Often it's risky, sometimes it's lonely, but ultimately it is righteous. Mandela did not fight for revenge, he fought for equality. He knew the cost, imprisonment, torture, even death, but he chose to speak up. In our own lives, we may not face such high stakes, but we do face moments where standing for what's right might be uncomfortable. Whether it's calling out discrimination, defending someone being bullied, or refusing to be complicit in corruption, Mandela reminds us, silence is easy, but justice is sacred. Lesson 2. Non-racialism is the only path to real freedom. Mandela could have fought only for the rights of Black South Africans. But he said something deeper. I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against Black domination. In that one sentence, he destroyed the illusion of a zero-sum game. He wasn't replacing one supremacy with another. He envisioned a country where all people, Black, white, Indian, colored, live together as equals. This vision is a lesson in humanity. Mandela taught us not to fight for power over others, but for dignity for all. His speech showed me that freedom that excludes others is not freedom at all. It is merely a shift in who holds the whip. Real freedom comes only when we all rise together. Lesson 3. Know the power of words and use them with courage. Mandela's speech was not just a defense. It was a declaration. It wasn't simply about denying guilt. It was about proclaiming truth. In a courtroom where the judges held his life in their hands, he turned the tables, making them confront the injustice of the laws they upheld. What I learned is that words, even when spoken softly, carry immense power when they are rooted in truth and conviction. Mandela's words live on because they were authentic, fearless, and morally clear. In a world where propaganda and misinformation flood our screens, Mandela reminds us of the power of truthful speech. Let us not underestimate what we say. Our voices can become weapons of peace or silence in the face of oppression. Lesson 4. The fight for justice is a marathon, not a sprint. At the time of this speech in 1964, Mandela had already given years of his life to the struggle, yet he would spend 27 more years behind bars. He wasn't speaking as a man seeking immediate victory. He was preparing himself and his people for a long road ahead. We live in an age of instant gratification. We want results now. We want change now. But Mandela teaches us patience. Real transformation takes time. Injustice builds systems that take generations to dismantle. I've learned that if we want to create lasting change, whether in our communities, our institutions, or even in our personal lives, we must be willing to persist, to keep showing up, and to stay faithful to the cause, even when victory is not in sight. Lesson 5. True leadership is rooted in sacrifice. Leadership is not about titles. It is not about popularity or power. Mandela, standing in that courtroom, facing a death sentence, was already a leader, not because of position, but because of sacrifice. What I learned is this: the world's greatest leaders are those who serve others, not themselves. Mandela's willingness to give up his freedom and possibly his life for the ideal of a free and equal South Africa is the ultimate lesson in servant leadership. In a time when leadership is often reduced to tweets and television appearances, Mandela's speech reminds us, Real leadership is forged in hardship, fueled by values, and measured by what one is willing to give up for others. Nelson Mandela did not die in that courtroom. He lived. He lived to see his nation vote freely. He lived to forgive those who imprisoned him. He lived to become South Africa's first Black president. But more than anything, he lived to prove that love is stronger than hate and that justice will always outlast oppression. His I Am Prepared to Die speech is more than a historical document. It is a moral compass, a torch passed on to each of us. So I ask all of you, what are you prepared to stand for? What are you prepared to speak for, fight for, and yes, even sacrifice for? Because if we carry Mandela's courage into our classrooms, our offices, our communities, and our conversations, then we honor him not just in words, but in action. Thank you.